It's California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We are joined by John Scott. He is the sheriff for Los Angeles County. And sir, I think it's fair to say that you entered the sheriff's department in a trying, difficult time. Your predecessor had resigned. There have been allegations of impropriety in the jails, but I understand you're doing a pretty good job.
Well, thank you for that, Brad,
Yes.
and thank you for inviting me. It was a difficult time to enter into the sheriff's office, but it was a appropriate time.
Right.
I think there needed to be some leadership, and I was able to come in and provide that.
So talk about how the department's doing. It's been about 6 months since you've come on the job, maybe a little more. How's morale? How are people feeling about the department?
Well, I think the department is doing better. I kind of characterized it when I was sworn in as a ship on the rocks.
Right.
That ship has been taken off the rocks. It's back in the water. It's becoming a little more seaworthy, and I'm readying it for the elected sheriff to go on that long voyage. So morale is better. A lot of people have said it's like a black cloud being pushed away, sun shining through again for first time in a while.
And you make the point, you are not running for the elected position. You came in specifically to serve as, I guess you could call it, a caretaker sheriff for the year before your successor comes in.
Well, yes, I was appointed as the interim sheriff for the time frame January through November. December 1, the newly elected sheriff will be sworn in. And so I chose not to call it caretaker because
that's fair. That was my word, not yours.
But I think there's been a lot of progress. Over 75 reforms have been put into place since I arrived. I think that the ship is, like I said, off the rocks, back into the water, and is starting to move forward in a positive way.
The big issue right now, as it relates specifically to Los Angeles County, is whether there should be a civilian oversight committee. In Los Angeles City, for example, there's the police commission. That's a civilian oversight committee. What's your sense? I know you've taken a public position on
Well,
this.
I have, and I'm in support of a civilian oversight commission. I don't know the total construct quite yet.
Sure.
It cannot be like LAPD with the police commission because it's a county operation, and I'm elected official. So I am a state constitutional officer.
Right.
A little different than an appointed police chief. So I report to the people. They're the ones that elect. They're the ones that determine who's going to be in office.
Right, so in the instance of Los Angeles City, the mayor makes a recommendation in terms of the LAPD chief, and then the commission hires that individual.
Exactly.
But with sheriff, there's an election.
There's an election, and that individual reports to the people and is responsible for the office of the sheriff. But a civilian oversight can be, I think, beneficial working with the Office of Inspector General, which is not up and running, but is certainly in place. There's hiring, there's county ordinance that's being prepared, and there's direction being given by the Board of Supervisors. But what you would have is a connection with the people. There'd be some town hall meetings. There'd be an ability to bring the concerns to the Inspector General, and in turn, we could work together in resolving those issues.
I also want to talk about one issue that's on the minds of those that are looking for reform in the LA Sheriff's Department. That focuses on what's known as Men's Central Jail.
Yes.
It is a 20th century jail, I guess one can say, and way before you arrived in the department in your current capacity, there were discussions about whether that facility should be mothballed, should we try to renovate it. Where are we today on the question of Men's Central Jail?
Well, Men's Central Jail was built back in the 60s. It's an old linear style, difficult to truly monitor because you have row after row after row of inmates. You have to walk that row to fully see inside. The new jail construction, you have an open setting, and it's easier to supervise.
And that's where we're going. A decision has been made to completely replace Men's Central Jail. There will be a new facility built, about $2 billion worth of facility, I guess one could say. And as I understand it, sir, the focus is not just on incarceration with this new facility, but looking for mental health treatment, for programmatic options.
That's a big issue right now. All across the nation, has been for a while, but it's come to the forefront. And that is, we have more and more individuals with mental health issues being incarcerated. And in fact, LA County Jail has become the largest mental institution, if you will, in the nation. So the new facility will be constructed with that in mind. We're going to have the treatment centers to take care of those type of needs.
When do we expect construction to begin, and when do we expect construction to conclude?
Right.
Because it would seem to me time is not in our favor. I mean, we need to get going on this.
Well, it's a long process. The Board of Supervisors just approved the concept, and now we have an architect who's going to lay out a design, and that will then have to be approved. Once that's approved, then there will be bidding on the actual construction of the jail, followed by the construction itself. So you're looking at a 5-year process typically.
I must ask you about prison realignment. Given that LA County is the largest county in our state, there's no doubt that this county is being impacted severely by the change in the way we incarcerate lower level offenders. Lower level offenders are now coming down into the counties. They're not serving time in state. How is it impacting this county?
Well, in the past, we would incarcerate convicted misdemeanors and felons that had been reduced to a 1-year sentence. We now are receiving individuals with felony convictions that may be in there for 3 years or longer, some of them very much longer.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. There is kind of the poster child for a longer sentence in a county prison. I understand that you have someone serving 42 years. It kind of baffles the mind, because when you think about the triple nons, nonviolent, non-sexual, non-serious, how do you get to 42 years if it's nonviolent, non-sexual, non-serious?
Well, that's an accumulation and a pattern and practice of criminal behavior. And so the judge is giving him time concurrently on a variety of sentences. But that is not what LA County jails or any jail system was designed for. It was designed for the short term.
So what do you do in this instance? I mean, it would seem to me, sir, that there needs to be some reform of realignment. You know, you can say a lot of different things about it, but the vision, the intent could not have been a 42-year sentence in a facility that's built for 1 or 3 years.
And what we're working with is legislation that allow us to exchange those type of individuals back to the state with some type of reciprocal agreement.
I want to get a sense from you about a debate that's raging on whether realignment has caused a spike in crime. You can point to a lot of different statistics to make a case that it hasn't caused a spike, it has caused a spike, but there's one area where there seems to be more focus, and that's on the question of property crime. Property crime has increased notably since realignment, about 8%. Other crimes, not so much. So there's a sense that maybe realignment is causing a spike in property crime because these are lower level offenders anyway, and that's the type of stuff that they would engage in. What's your sense?
Well, there has been studies, and they haven't come to any conclusions yet. But as you point out, all the other Part 1 crimes are down.
Right.
The property crime is up. So there has to be some type of correlation, I would think. Oftentimes, the property crimes are generated to support drug habits and other type of behavior. So I think we're seeing more of that because we have more individuals that have been released from prison.
Recidivism, are you seeing recidivism drop from these AB 109 prisoners? Because that really was part of the goal, that if they're serving their time closer to home in counties that can offer more programmatic possibilities.
And I'm just a big supporter of that. I believe that we can do a better job than the state has. We have, as you know, education-based incarceration in LA County, and that has allowed programming to take place, particularly with AB 109, because they're in longer, and you can do the treatment longer, and you can do the programs that are going to help keep them on the street and out of jail.
I want to thank you so much for joining us, Sheriff Scott. My name is Brad Pomerance. It's California Edition.
Thank you.